Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyatravimam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karamavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So I think we began a new section last week, didn't we? We did like 1 or 2 verses in a new section.
We're starting the new section today. It's section 55, number 293.
And what's the title?
The perceived I factor, false.
Yes. So the perceived I factor, meaning the ego, different names by which it's called in Sanskrit. Ahankara, ahankriti, karta. Ahankara, ahankriti both mean, come from the root kri, which means to make or to do. So there are the functions in the mind that make or create a phony sense of I. I am tall, I'm short, I'm male, I'm female, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm successful, I'm a failure, all that sort of stuff. We have Chid Abhasa, which is the term we've been getting Monday night in Panchadashi, which means the reflection of consciousness. We have Chit Chaya. Chaya means a shadow or a reflection, a shadow self, a phony self. And my favorite, Jiva Bhavana. Bhavana means a feeling or an attitude, the feeling or the attitude that I'm an individual. All these are various names for the same phenomena. It is a function in the Vijnanamaya kosha. Remember when we studied the 5 koshas? In the intellectual sheath, there's a function there which coordinates all the experiences of the body and attributes to them the sense of individuality. So I went to the symphony today and I enjoyed it, and I had lunch with my friend Sheila. That's how the mind thinks. But what actually happened is the body went to the symphony. The mind enjoyed the music. The body was proximate to the body of Sheila, and in the mind calls her my friend. I attribute to the self the qualities of the not self. Now, it's not evil. It's not bad. It's just not you. Person couldn't function in the world without it. But we want to see that it's a function in the Vijnanamaya kosha to be able to discriminate between the self and this chit jaya, this chid abhasa, this ahankriti, this jiva bhavana, whatever name you want to call it, ego. All right, let's dive into the text and see what Shankara says.
Sarvatmana drishyam idam risheva naivahamartha shanikatva darshanat janamyaham sarvam iti pratiti kuto hamade shanikasya siddhate. The objective world is quite unreal. Neither is the ego real, for it is seen to be fleeting. How then can the apparent quote, I know all, be true of the ego and so on, which are momentary?
Yes. So the objective world is quite unreal. Way back when he said, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is real, the phenomenal world is unreal. What's the terms he uses this time?
For unreal?
Yeah.
Mrisha? Is that a word?
I don't know. Anyway. And in the phenomenal world is the body, the prana, the feelings, the thoughts, and the ego sense. Now remember our philosophical definition of real. Who remembers the philosophical definition of reality?
That which can't be negated.
That which is never subject to negation, that which cannot be negated. That which always is. So, the ordinary person in deep sleep, no ego, no world. And for you and me, when we are self-conscious, in the psychological sense, how am I doing? Am I okay? What do they think of me? This ego sense gets really thick, very uncomfortable. Many a time, in the beginning class especially, I'll pick some poor soul, pick Wendy tonight. Okay, now, let's see, does Wendy have spinach in her teeth? Now, did she spill her lunch all over her blouse? Does she have a booger in her nose? Everybody look at Wendy. Let's check her out. How does that make you feel?
Actually, I don't care anymore.
Die!
Last time you did it, it made me unconscious. Self-conscious. Now I'm like, oh, who cares?
Yes. But you get the idea.
Yes,
we'll pick on Sal.
No,
You're no fun anymore.
she won't care either.
But the idea
Yes.
is you can feel it get thick
Yeah,
when you're
absolutely.
self-conscious,
Yeah,
or when you feel like you've made a mistake or something like that. And the opposite is true. If you're deeply engaged in a project, or listening to beautiful music, or making love, or anything where you're not self-conscious with the small s, the ego thins. And when we tune up the mind, we get those moments between the thoughts. Disappears altogether. So we know it's unreal, and the phenomenal world is unreal because the experience of it, the perception of it, is transient. It's impermanent, and therefore not real. Aesthetically, you always are. You are real. Next one.
Aham padartha tvaham adasakshi nityam sushuptavapi bhava darshanat brute yajo nitya iti shruti swayam tat pratyagatma sadasad vilakshanaha. But the real I witnesses the ego and so on. It is always there, even in deep sleep. It is unborn, eternal, says the Shruti herself. Different, therefore, from the gross and the subtle is Paramatman.
Yes. But you were always there. When phenomena is perceived, the self is the witness of all phenomena, gross, meaning the world of objects, and subtle, meaning the world of feelings and thoughts. And it is the witness of the rise and the fall of it's myself. So we continue this discrimination between the world of the phenomena and the noumenon, what the philosophers call it, the I. It occurs in time and space. It has a beginning and an end. It has qualities and characteristics. If it's limited to the waking, dream, or deep sleep state, most importantly, if it is objectively known, it's unreal. Drop. Now, do we need to go through? We've done it so many times about how the self is there in deep sleep. Yes, no? Anybody have doubts about this? No. Okay. The self is there in deep sleep. Otherwise, you could not wake up in the morning and remember, oh, I slept so soundly. Next verse.
Yajabmanam kulagotra nama rupashrameshvadra shavashriteshu lingasya dharmanapi kritatadim satyaktava bhava khanda sukhaswarupaha. Renounce your identification with family, lineage, name. Oh,
Did you skip one?
Didn't skip two.
oh,
You
sorry,
skipped two.
I skipped a page.
It's all right, you're in a hurry.
I'm going to read the Sanskrit. Vikarinam sarva vikara te veta nityo vikaro bhavitum samarhati manorathasva sushuptu sputam puna punardrishyam sattva metayoho. That which is the knower of all changes in all things which are liable to change must doubtless be eternal and changeless. Again and again, the unreality of the gross and the subtle bodies is clearly perceived in one's fancy, dream, and deep sleep.
Yes. So it's interesting. The real-time experience of this sort of thing is when I'm on the BART train, especially at the MacArthur station. So you'll have two trains going in the same direction on each side, those of you who ride the BART.
Mhm.
And what's so cool is the trains will start going and you can't really tell. Now, is my train going this way? Or is that train going that way? Or they both start to go together and one starts going faster than the other. So this idea of motion has to do with some point from which you reference other things. So with reference to me, I see things move. If the other thing is moving and I'm moving, I don't experience any movement. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you see objects changing? Yes?
Yes.
Do you see feelings change?
Yeah.
Do you see thoughts change?
Yes.
Do you see the ego rise and fall?
Yeah.
Which means you are sthita. You are still. You are the still point. If you were moving the way the mind, body, and intellect move, you couldn't see change. You don't ever change. Body changes. Mind states change. But you do not. Don't believe me. If that be true, why do you worry? Because I superimpose on myself the qualities of the non-self. All of that over and over and over again. Stop. Introvert the attentive faculty and notice it's absolute stillness. Not really a point, not really spacious, it has no dimension. Yet it is always known. It's never unknown. Next one.
Ato vimanam tyajaman sapinde pindabhimaninyapi buddha kalpite kalatrayabhadyamakhanda bodham nyatva swatmanam mupaihi shantim. Therefore, reject your identification with this mass of flesh and with the ego, or the subtle body, of which are the imaginations of the intellect. By realizing your own self, which is knowledge absolute, which cannot be denied in the three periods of time, attain to the state of supreme peace.
Yes. So renounce our identifications with the upadhis, the equipment. I'm not the body, but I'm also not the subtle body. And I am not this chid chaya, this chid abhasa, this ego. No personal sense of self is real. I can't think a real thought. The phenomenal world, the body, mind, intellect are conjured by imagination. You're imagining it. Don't worry about it. Just don't get engaged. Don't get involved. Don't let your mind get tyrannized by it. Let it go, let it go. Remember who you are. Next verse.
Yaja bhimanam kulagotranam rupashramevatra darshavish rupashrameshvatra shavashrineshu lingasya dharmanapi kartitadim sattaktava bhavakhanda sukha swarupaha. Renounce your identification with family, lineage, name, form, and order in life, which are attributes of the body, which is like a foul corpse. So too, renounce your ideas of agency and so on, which are the attributes of the subtle body. Thus become the very essence of bliss absolute.
Yes. So all of our relational attachments have to go. Does that mean I have to leave my husband or my wife or get rid of my children? No. Renounce our attachment. Now it's interesting. This is my anecdotal observation. My students from the West, frequently the primary psychological issue is alienation. I don't belong. I'm looking to belong. I want community. Feels estranged and separate in life. Indians, on the other hand, the big psychological issue is enmeshment. Because the major sense of identity is family, community, clan, etc. Everybody's in everybody else's business. Sound familiar? And we get completely identified with other people's stuff. We see it all as an extension of our egos. So what we need to renounce culturally can be a little bit different. Shankara here is talking to Indians. Renouncing identification with wife, husband, children, caste, culture, job, position, your friends. You want to be kevala, alone. This doesn't mean leaving the world. But it means, as the Master Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. Fulfill your role in the society. Your prarabdha puts you. You're supposed to change external situations. They will change. No, no. All of our attachments have to go. And then for us Westerners who are reaching out, trying to find connection, stuff like that, that all has to go. If I have a desire, what I really want is Krishna, the Lord. Our hearts, thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in thee. What St. Augustine said. Till we're satisfied in the self, by the self. Then do as you will in the world. Any thoughts on this?
It feels like there's a level of trust to develop in just letting go and just letting things take place.
Yes.
So I feel like I fall frequently. I worry because that gives me a sense of control.
Yeah. Which is all an illusion.
Yeah.
It's all an illusion. You could lose your job tomorrow.
Yeah.
You could lose your visa tomorrow. Your husband could get hit by a bus. Yeah. It could all be taken away. You can get in a car accident and be a quadriplegic. Wouldn't that be fun? You never know. But I promise you, it's all going to be okay. It always is. Now, the paradox is we think when we're losing stuff, letting it go, try to let go and stay attached, you're going to get dragged. But I was talking with a friend of mine. Many of you know my friend Susan passed away on the 22nd of last month. And my friend was telling me this story that she was there, very close to the end. So frail she couldn't stand. But she's a good Sufi. And my friend was telling me it was just so strange. She was just radiant. She said to my friend, I'm just so happy. Because she was in the dying process. She was letting go, letting go. What happens when the mind lets go? Chidananda Rupaham. My form is bliss consciousness. Now, you don't have to be dying to go there. You could do it right here, right now, in this moment. But you're absolutely right. It's trust. But it does not mean preservation of the body, preservation of relationships, preservation of the things that you think bring security. First of all, they don't. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And I promise you, you're going to experience loss at the level of the world. It happens to everybody. You lose parents. You lose siblings, you lose businesses, you lose your faculties, you lose body parts. And you lose the body itself. But you are just fine. I love what Ram Dass said. Even dying is perfectly safe. That story about my friend Susan just thrills me. But she was very spiritually prepared for it. Good Sufi. Next verse.
New section. Section 56, condemnation of the ego.
Thought we just did that. Okay.
No, we did something falsification, a perceived I factor false.
Okay.
Satyanye pratibandha punsa sansara hetavo drishtaha tesham ekam moolam prathama vikaro bhavatyahankaraha. It is observed that there are other obstacles also which hurl man into a whirl of births and deaths. Their one root, for the reasons given above, is the ego, the first modification of ignorance.
So, what happens? First aspect of ignorance, of course, is Avarana Shakti, veiling power. Then Vikshepa Shakti happens. The first thing that it creates is this false I factor. Now, Shankara says it's the first thing. I kind of like the way the Buddhists frame it. They use the term dependent origination. Who here has heard that phrase? The way the Buddhists say it is the I factor and the perception of the phenomenal world arise together. But whether one comes first and then the other makes no difference. The point that Shankara is getting at, see this individual sense, this jiva vasana. I feel like a person. That is false. Renounce your identification. Now, in the beginning, Brahman is, Atman is. That's indirect knowledge. Direct knowledge is I am that. I am the beginning until you have these moments of samadhi. When the mind thins out, introvert the attentive faculty. You have the direct experience. There's nothing there. Now that's not Sthita Prajna, steady wisdom. But at least now you have something real with which to work. Now you can see the distinction. Know the no-thingness. Satchidananda Rupaham, my form is pure, existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. You can see the difference between that and when I feel like I'm a person. Don't mess around with it. If you can see the I factor, the individuality arise, get rid of it. If it won't go away, at least I see you for what you are. You're not real. And I'm not going to play your game. Whatever works for you. Deny that phony I. Next one.
यावत् स्यात् स्वस्य सम्बन्धो अहङ्कारेण दुरात्मना तावन्न लेशां पात्रपि मुक्तिवार्ता विलक्षणा. As long as there is any relationship with this vile ego, so long there should not be even the slightest talk about liberation, which is unparalleled.
Yes. So, as long as you still have moments where you are a person, of course, as you begin to get deeper and deeper in your practice, one of the pitfalls that arise is, I think I am getting it. Maybe I am realized now, or I am getting very close. I wonder if someone else is going to notice how realized I am. That's a really neurotic place. Only two kinds of people in this world. Those who think they're a person. And you may think you're a worm. You may think you're a lovable person doing okay. You may even think you have some spiritual insight, power, knowledge. All of them are illusions. Then there are those who know I am Brahman. I'm witnessing consciousness. I'm not the body, mind, intellect. I'm not the physical body. I'm not the subtle body. And what other people think of me is none of my business. Don't get caught up in it. Any thoughts? Next one.
Ahankara grahan mukta swarupam upapadhyate chandravad vimala purna sadananda swayam prabha. Freed from the shackles of ego, like the moon freed from the eclipse, man gains his true nature and becomes untainted, infinite, ever blissful, and self-effulgent.
So the poetic image here is the eclipse. So in Hindu mythology, what causes the eclipse is the demon Rahu, one of the lunar nodes in Indian astrology. There's Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu comes along and swallows the sun with the moon. But the good news, Rahu just has a mouth and a head and no body. So after he swallows the sun or the moon, it comes out the other side. Now, is there really a demon in the sky who swallows the sun or the moon? It's an optical illusion. It is a coincidence that the sun is 400 times the size of the moon. No, 4,000 times the size of the moon. Something like that. But it's 4,000 times further away. So that right now, historically, I'm not sure the numbers, don't hold me on those. The sun and the moon seem the same size. So they can obscure the shadow and all that kind of stuff. nothing really is covered, is the point. Likewise, no matter how crazy our minds get, it never really touches the sun. I can prove it to you. Who here had a bad day this week? If you did you disappear? Did you know your misery? Were you totally identified? Yeah. Did you know you were identified? It can't be you because it's an object of knowledge. You are never touched. Always. Now listen carefully. You go on a meditation retreat, you get really tuned up in class. The mind gets so thin, self just vanishes. And then, of course, it's a mind state. Come back to the world. The mind is working again in interaction with the world, the Vyavahara transactions, and that temporary sense of self may reappear. But you see it rise and fall. It's not you. Don't worry about it. Now, you do the toughest, you can do more letting go of it. But don't get too worked up if ignorance overcomes the mind. The scriptures say at this point you're a third class jnani. You're not yet Jivan Mukta, but you do have knowledge of the self. When you know who you are, there's no suffering. But then if you fall and ignorance covers the mind, then you suffer like any other miserable creature. But then your knowledge returns. And you go, why did I do that? It drops away. Who's had that experience? So you keep doing practice until you're what we call sthita prajna. You have steady wisdom till you are a full knower of the Supreme. But as I said earlier, at least now you have something real with which to work. Next verse.
यो वा पुरेसोऽहम् इति प्रतीतो बुद्ध्या प्रकृप्लतमासाति मूढ्या तस्यैव निषेधतया विनाशे ब्रह्मात्मभाव प्रतिबन्धशून्यः. The ego is that which has been produced by the intellect, which is deluded by nescience, and which is perceived in this body as I am so and so. When this ego sense is totally annihilated, one attains an unobstructed identity with Brahman.
Yes. So, if I feel like a person I'm deluded, drop that idea. No personal sense of self is real. Vairagya, that desire to give up identification with any sense of self, starting from the body up to and including the form of Brahma, the creator. All of it has to go. Watch your mind going there. Stop it. Don't play around. Any thoughts? And what causes that phony sense of I to reassert itself? Vasana. The first power of vasana is avarana shakti. So let go of my attachments. Let go of my identifications. Oh, let go. And remember, it forms in three ideas. One, I think I'm a person. Two, I have a goal. And three, struggle. And you can work on any one of those three. If you really resolve any one of them, the other two fall. So you can, today, I'm going to absolutely give up struggling for anything. Let go and let God have his wonderful way. You could work on the world. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. It's all Brahma. You need to fix or do anything. You can work on Jiva Bhavana. Who am I? And if you're successful with any one of those, the other two fall. Next verse.
Brahmananda Vidharma Bhava. Brahmananda Nidhir Marha Balavata Ahankarat Ghorahina Samveshtyatmani Rakshate Gunamaye Chandai Stribir Mastakai Vijnanakhyam Hasina Shrutim Ata Vichidhya Shirshatrayam Nirmulyaham Imam Nidhim Sukhakaram Dhiro Nubhuktom Shamaha. The treasure of the bliss of Brahman is enwrapped by the mighty and dreadful serpent of the ego sense, and jealousy guarded for its selfish use by its three fierce hoods, the three gunas. The wise person who destroys it by serving its three heads with the great sword of realization, in accordance with the teachings of the scriptures, alone can enjoy this treasure which brings bliss.
Yes. So why can I not experience myself as Ananda? It is because ahankara and its subsequent craving obscures the bliss of my own self. In that state, I still experience the bliss of the self. Remember our discussion of the Anandamaya Purusha. Satisfy a desire. It's just a little drop of it. It's so cheap that way. Temporary. just enough to make you want more. Of course, deep sleep. Deep sleep. Where the only vritti is pure ignorance. The cause of the whole mess is ignorance. Subsequent craving. Next one.
यावद्वा यत्किञ्चित् विष दोषस्फूर्तिस्ति चेदेः कथमारोग्याय भवेत् तद् वदहन्तापि योगिनौ मुक्तैः. As long as there is even a trace of poison left in the body, how can one hope for complete recovery? So too is the effect of the ego sense upon the meditator's liberation.
So I think he used the word dosha, didn't he?
Yes.
Which is a defect. It can be also called a poison or a disease. But as long as there's any of that defect of egoism, the mind won't fight this. So we have to root it all out. Now, you can do it attachment by attachment by attachment, or you can take the shortcut. Renounce the totality of the mind itself. This lump of mind. Not what I am, but that I am a person. My thoughts, my feelings. Dump it all. The mind commits, what you could say, harakiri, psychic suicide. The mind itself quits believing itself, quits believing in its own reality. And the whole thing goes. You don't have to do it, but by thought attachment. And of course, you always hear me talk about the demon, yeah, but. Yeah, but what about my job? And yeah, but what about my visa? Yeah, but what about this? And what about my responsibilities? Yeah, but what about the politics? Yeah, but all the stuff I worry about. It's that demon trying to get you to believe that something in this world is real, is important. Let it all. Renounce the world. Renounce the mind. Again, nothing need change on the outside. It's supposed to change, it'll change. Next one.
अहमोत्यन्त निवृत्त्या तत्कृत नानाविकल्प संहृत्या प्रत्यक्तत्व विवेकादि दममस्तमिति विदन्ते तत्त्वम्. By the complete cessation of the ego sense gained by restraining the diverse mental waves, created by the ego itself, and through the discrimination of the innermost reality, one experiences reality as I am this.
Yeah. So the vrittis that the ego creates. I want this, I don't want that. Desire, attachment, control, aversion, opinions. Even the low level, just restlessness. Go. Next one.
Ahankare kartyam hiti matim muncha sahasa vikarat manyatmam pratipalajushi swasthi timishu yadhya sapta yadhya sat prapta janimriti jara dukkha bahula prati chaschin murtesva sukhatano sansritiriyam. Renounce immediately your identification with the ego sense, the sense of agency, which is by its very nature a modification and is lit up by a reflection of the self. It diverts one from being established in the self. Identifying yourself with this false sense, you have reached this relative existence full of miseries of birth, decay, death, although you are the witness, the essence of knowledge, bliss, absolute.
So, who or what is the agent? Two ways to look at it. I do nothing. It is guna and karma that is the agent. The qualities of mind and the force of the past. Yes, the mind will choose to do this and choose not to do that. But it's all written, it's all your prarabdha. Don't worry about it. No regrets for the past, no worries about the future. Or you can take on the idea, I do everything. I am that Brahman. From me, the galaxies spin. From me, all activity takes place. I am the universal doer of everything. But drop the idea, I, the individual, do this and do not do that. And when I did this, I screwed up. And when I did that, I was so sorry. What am I going to do tomorrow? Am I going to make the right choice? Nonsense. Drop it. Next.
सदैकरूपस्य चिदात्मनो विभु रानन्दमूर्तैरवध्यय कीर्तैः नैवान्यथा क्वाप्यविकारणस्ते विहानमध्यास मुमुष्य संसृतिः. But for your identification with the ego sense, there is no transmigration for you, who are immutable and eternally the same, knowledge absolute, omnipresent, bliss absolute, and of unsullied glory.
So the only transmigration is I believe I'm in the dream. It's just like the dream state. Question is, do you incarnate into a dream? Sure feels like it. But is it true? You are not in the dream. The dream is in you. Prove it when you wake up when the dream goes poof. No dreamer merges into the waker, any nonsense like that. What was the dream identity is gone. Now listen very carefully. The movement between waker and dreamer, or rather dreamer and waker, let's go that direction, is a gross movement. The alarm goes off and it ends. The movement between ego identification, I think I'm Jim, and that knowledge, oh, I'm not Jim, I am Brahman. Though profound, is very subtle. What do I mean? When you turn up the mind, notice the knower. Person there. There's that vast empty space of consciousness. And if that's your direct experience right now, where did that person go? It disappeared just as much as the dreamer disappears when you wake up. It's just not so gross. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Now, in the dream, remember the dream has no beginning. I watched one of the Star Trek movies last night. First Contact. I swear the credits went on for 10 minutes. You know, that same thing where they go up and into the distance.
Is Star Wars or
Star Trek.
Star Trek?
Star Trek. With Captain Picard. But a dream, they never roll the credits. The dream is beginningless. Meaning when you're dreaming, you never see it start. You're just in it and it feels like this is a continuation of reality. Isn't that our experience?
Yeah.
You see it end. Listen carefully. Egoism is like that. You never see it begin.
Just in it.
You're just in it.
And you see it end. You
You
never
see it
see
end.
it again. Yeah.
So all we can do is drill into our minds. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. If I think I'm a person, I'm in the dream. Wake up.
Jim,
Yes.
so we never know that we're in the dream. I follow that. Similarly, we don't know when we're in the ego. So essentially, we can catch ourselves that we have become untuned or distuned. Can we develop a sadhana or practice where we can see that transition happen, or it's always going to be
Not
I catch
important.
myself faster and faster?
It's not important. It's not important to see the beginning. It's only important that once you realize you think you're a person, drop it. Don't go causation hunting. It's a futile practice.
Okay.
But once you get more and more familiar with this distinction between Jiva Bhavana, I think I'm a person, and when I'm in the state of knowledge, I know I am Brahman, then it doesn't fool you so much anymore. You see it for what it is. And when it arises, you can drop it.
Okay.
Is that useful?
Very useful, yes.
Yeah. So when you wake up in the morning, do you need to know, oh, I began dreaming at 12:15 or was it 12:20? No. It's immaterial. It's unimportant. Point is, wake up. Now, in the dream, the intellect is in a passive state by and large. We have the sense that, and this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened. We rarely have a fully formed and developed intellect that can question and discriminate. Some people do, but the vast majority of us, we can't discriminate in a dream. We kind of wonder maybe sometimes. But in the waking state, self-realization takes place in the waking state. Don't worry too much about the dream state. The main thing to understand about the dream state is it shows us how this world comes about. It's a microcosm. But the main thing to understand is sadhana happens in the waking state. In the waking state, if I feel like a person, I'm in ignorance. Stop. Stop it. The ego will always say, resolve the struggle of ego. Get what I want, get rid of what I don't want, control, fight, lie, protect. That's all sorts of strategies. But the root of them is I think I'm a person. I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Stop. Let it go. Okay, we'll stop here. What verse are we on for next week?
307. 307.
307 for next week.
Jim, one more question.
Sure.
So you said there was three things that we can look at and we can work on any one of them. One of them was the Jiva Bhavana, that I'm a person.
Yes.
The other
one is my belief in the reality of the phenomenal world, which will manifest as I need to either fix the world or I need to fix me.
Okay.
I'll be happy when my partner does this, or I'll be happy when I lose 5 pounds. I'll be happy if so-and-so wins the election. I'll be happy when I give up this bad habit. Do you see how that works?
Yes.
And then the third element is, let me get to it. Let me struggle. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, let's work.
Struggle. Okay.
And
Any
the
one of
more
them.
I want it, and the further away it seems, the harder I feel like I need to work, and the more pain there is.
Okay.
Is that
Thank you.
useful?
Yes.
I didn't make this up. That comes directly from Yoga Vasishtha, by the way.
Great. Great.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.